This is the early March 2018 project update for P2P VPS. There's been a slight delay in the last update because I was sick, and I've also been heads down coding on some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today. So let's dive right in. So let's cover some of the accomplishments that P2P VPS has achieved over the last month. Uh, First of all, earnings tracking has been implemented. This is a new prototype feature. It's not working perfectly, but let me show you what it looks like. So if you go to the device dashboard, right now, own devices is still the only tab that's really working correctly, but there's this new money earned area. And so right now the rentals are going for 30 cents an hour. So this particular device has been rented twice. And so anyways, that's what I'm talking about. That's a new feature is as the amount of money that the device has earned through rentals is now showing up. Let's see. Fix persistent storage in the virtual machine. There was an issue with the persistent storage not getting wiped between rental sessions. And it wasn't a serious problem because no one complained about it at all. And I guess that's just the advantage of where I'm at with having a small user base. And but that's fixed now. So persistent storage is working correctly in both Raspberry Pi and the VM target. Uh, I've created a testing coupon. So if you go to the P2P VPS store on OpenBazaar and you select a rental, you can, and in fact, if you go to the home page, I talk about it right here. Use the testing coupon to get your rental for just 1 cent. And this will also work on renewals. So the way to do that is to select a VPS to rent, hit buy now, and then right here in the coupon code, type in testing, all capital letters, hit apply, and you'll see that it will deduct 29 cents, and so the rental will only be 1 cent. So this makes it really easy for doing rentals. In fact, one of the things I'm going to do is have a form on p2pvps.net. This is not up yet, but I'm going to try and get this implemented in the next month, where people can go put in their wallet, put in their wallet address, and then it'll automatically send you like 10 cents in Bitcoin Cash, which should be enough for several rentals. Um, so that's the idea. It just makes it easier for everybody to try it out, demo it out, and test everything. I've also increased the rental time. It was 1 hour, and now it's 1 day is the default rental time. So that makes it easier to play with and actually like mock up a real website or anything you'd want to run on the VPS. And because renewals are working, you can renew them, and I think you can do several renewals at once. So you can hit that renewal button 2-3 times, and it'll increase the rental period out several days. This is going to be the rental period is going to be up to the device owner to set, and so there will be a spectrum of different rental periods once the marketplace is up and running. But so we're still very much in the testing phase and in the prototyping phase. So the 1 day rentals is kind of a big deal. So it's just a little more practical for people to start using them as intended with the new 1 day rental. Another thing that we accomplished in the last month is the NewTech Conference. We've got the video up on the blog, and please check it out. It was very well received. Got a standing ovation. People were very interested in the project. It was a great way to get the word out here in Portland, Oregon, which is where I gave the presentation. And yeah, it was very encouraging. A lot of people really liked the idea, and they got it. That was the main purpose of the presentation, was to give a high level overview for non-technical, well, for pseudo-technical people, I should say, and not make their eyes glaze over. And I think I accomplished that, so pretty happy. There's a problem with the server. So it's not a serious problem, and it's a problem that's being addressed. But let's just go to the GitHub repo, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you go to the P2P VPS repo, there's three main repositories that are pinned up here. And what I'm talking about is the server. And the server is built on top of Keystone.js, which is an awesome project, open source project, but it's also kind of a dead project. There's just the updates, and the community leadership has been lacking, and I want to move away from that software. And it also, I'm at a point where the software, all the software, the server software, has been stable for almost 3 months now, which is a huge accomplishment. But as I add new features, I accumulate more and more technical debt because the code base is sort of bloated and getting bigger. And as I add new features, I don't have a good way of testing to see if the changes in the code might have side effects, or might have broken previous features. So I started exploring this other open source project called Strapi, which is very similar. It stands for Bootstrapping APIs, and it's intended to help people create APIs, which is what I need for the server. Ultimately, after doing a pretty thorough evaluation, I decided to pass. The project's brand new. The founders are trying to start a company. I can't tell if they are venture backed or if it's just three, exciting guys. It has a lot of potential, but the software's in alpha, and it's moving a little too fast. It's not quite stable enough, and ultimately I ended up finding a better solution, which let me show you. This repository here, P2P VPS Server 2, so it's the second incarnation of the server. It is based on this KOA boilerplate, and Koa is, if you're a JavaScript developer, Koa is the successor to Express, and so it's a more modern foundational code base that I'm building on top of. And the most important thing is that it's fully tested. It's based on test-driven development. And I wanted to show you guys this article by Pivotal. This is one of the best articles I've come across um, about test-driven development design, and I think this picture really captures it well, in that most software projects resemble this curve where, and this has definitely been true with P2P VPS up to this point. Like we're pretty much here on top of the curve right now, because development has been really fast, because the code base is small. It's easy to manage because it's small, and I've been able to add new features really rapidly. But now we're about to go down the slope here, where as I add new features, it's going to start to break old features because the code base is so big. I can't keep everything in my mind, or no one can, not just me. And then as I add new developers, or new community developers pop up and contribute to the code base, they're not going to know about the previous code, so toes are going to get stepped on, things are going to get broken, end users are going to have a bad experience, and that is how a lot of software projects die. And I don't want to make that mistake. And so that right now, while the code base is small, it's a really good time to shift gears into test-driven development, which follows this kind of curve. And that's what you don't really need to know anything about test-driven development, TDD, other than the fact that it excels at adding new features over time, and while improving the reliability of the software. And so it follows a curve more like this. It lets you rapidly add new features without damaging previous features, and you haven't damaged them because everything is tested. and you write the tests as you develop the code, and so everything it's a big improvement in reliability. So I won't bore you with the details, but this is the new focus, and this is what I've been heads down coding, and probably will be for the next month or two. Just taking all the features that are in the old server and putting them in the new server, but also building tests for everything. And it's going to be much smaller, much faster, and everything's going to be improved. And like I said, most importantly, it's going to allow me and other developers to add features without stepping on toes or breaking old features. So it's pretty cool. If you're a JavaScript developer, I highly encourage you to check it out. And also, while you're at it, say hi on our Slack channel. So let's get back to the slides. Oh, also, real quick, wanted to show you the improved .NET site. Kind of did that already, but let's see. Okay, yeah, here's the .NET. So everything, this is slightly improved. Everything you need to manage or create or rent a VPS is here in this new menu. I just showed you the device dashboard right here. This is where device owners would go to register a new device on the network. But what's nice is you can also see the rental listings without going to the OpenBazaar store. So this is everything that's here in the OpenBazaar store, well, except for these two. So these are live. If you're not a programmer and you want to play with this stuff, you can order a pre-programmed SD card. You don't need to know any software. You plug this into a Raspberry Pi and you're off and going. Or you can order a completely assembled assembled and tested Raspberry Pi. Those don't show up in the listings. Those are just here in the store. But all these other listings for the VPS rentals, they're reflected here in this rental listing. And so this is going to be a much easier way to scale, because if there was like 30 or 40 or 50 rentals or more, this would look really crowded. But this will be cool, and you'll be able, or this this table will be searchable, and you can see I've got these categories for uptime, memory, and disk space. I think those are going to be the three main metrics. And you'll right now the feature's not in here, but you'll be able to click on this and sort by that column, because some people are going to want really good uptime. Some people aren't going to care about that. Maybe they just want a fast internet connection. That'll also be a column in here. And this is a precursor of the API that I'm going to develop, where you'll be able to just make an API call and query listings. When that's essentially what this web page is doing, is it's making an API call. It's not querying yet, but eventually it'll be able to query and filter by metrics such as uptime, memory, internet speed, so that you don't have to browse through the listings you don't care about. You can find the devices that match your requirements. There's already a little bit of a search feature here, so if you type in like Pi, it'll show all the listings that have to do with Raspberry Pis. So and it's just a simple text search right now. But you can click on the button, and you can click on this button. It'll open OpenBazaar and take you to the listing. You've also got the manual listing here that you can paste in. So, for instance, I can copy this, paste it in, and go straight to the listing that I'm interested in. So while that's loading, there's also this description modal that'll pop up, and this is the same description that is in. Let me try a different one. Maybe that one's resetting right now. I may have changed my store address, and that might be the problem. So whatever. You get the idea. But that's how it's supposed to work. Like I said, everything's prototyped right now. It's good to do these demos because that's how I find this stuff. You can also get to the renewal. So as I demoed in the January update, you can paste the GUID from your sales receipt right here and click the button, and that'll renew the listing for you. And then the last link is to the documentation. So if you want to read about the specifications on all the software, if you're a developer and you want to understand this stuff at a deeper level, this is the place to go. So yeah, so that's the new .NET website, and that's that's quite a bit that I've accomplished in the last month. Uh, Going forward, here is the focus. I already talked about recreating the server software. That's very much the focus right now, and that's probably going to take a month of work to recreate the server as it is now with all the features being fully tested. Uh, so look forward to that. I've also started creating GitHub issues for the different repositories, and that's going to be the go-to place for feedback. I mean, it's sort of unavoidable. Most people know about GitHub issues, and that's where they go to file complaints or ask questions. I'm starting to use it just to sort of as a to-do list almost. Whenever I come across an issue, like I'll probably, well, I don't have a repo for the .NET, but those listings not showing up correctly or not taking to the Open Bazaar store correctly, that would be a perfect GitHub issue to file. So yeah, so if you want to know sort of what outstanding issues are, what is coming up, what's going to be worked on soon, this is the place to go. Port clusters. So right now, the only ports that get opened is port 80, and eventually that'll be well, if you go to the blog, you can check out this post running a Node web app on a rented VPS. That shows how to serve a web page, both a normal web page on port 80 and an encrypted web page on port 443, the SSL. Those are the only ports that are open right now, but I've been going through and talking with companies and open source projects that do distributed software that are candidates for running on these VPSs, and mapping out the ports that they use. And the conclusion I've come to is that I need to just open up a generic cluster of ports on the VPS rentals, and then most of the software, the distributed software that I think are good candidates for running on this, they can be customized to use any arbitrary port. So, for instance, when a device registers, it'll set up our SSH tunneling for like 5 to 10 ports, and then and those will be at a sort of generic location. And then any software, any application you want to run on there that needs a port in order to communicate with the internet, uh, you would just adjust that and assign it to these generic ports. So that would let software like library run. It would let you do things like run an Open Bazaar store that's fully connected and can conduct in real time. And pretty much any other internet-based software is going to need a port. That's how software communicates with other software on the internet. So that's coming up. That's going to be a uh, very important feature, and that's why I wanted to redo the server before I jump into this new feature. So that's going to come right after I get the second version of the server software working. And another thing I want to work on, I don't know when or how I'm going to find the time for this, but I want to do more videos for onboarding developers. So showing how to create a development environment, or at least how I create a development environment, how to load all the software, just break everything down that developers need to know in order to be proficient with this software, get up and running with it, and play with it at every level. Okay, so that's pretty much the update. Thanks for watching, and look forward to more updates.